Mike Haridopolos. He's out of Florida. He's been on the show before. You can find him at Mike Haridopolos on X. Super easy. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time to join me. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mary. Thanks for the opportunity.
So you are very interested in the space program, as is my husband. My husband is a pilot, and so he was all into it with the whole Artemis flight and all of that. I was into it because I was into it for who was it, Victor Glover? The hot guy.
Oh, yeah. Amazing guy. Yeah.
Right. That's how you get women involved in the space program. You put up women like that who work with their shirts off and you film that. That's how you get women involved in the space program. But this one was different, and people don't understand because they're like, why didn't we land on the moon? But they went around the moon for the first time, and they also went farther out than before because we always stopped at the moon. So am I understanding that properly, first of all?
Well, first of all, it is an exciting time for our space program. We are going to win the space race against China. And as you put it perfectly, we've never been further from the Earth than we were going around the moon. And it is putting us in line so that in 2028, we're going to make a run to land on the moon for the first time since 1972. And eventually we're going to create a moon base because we recognize some of the rare materials that are found on the moon can help us with our energy production. And of course, there's even water on the south pole of the moon, which will allow us to build the propellant necessary, meaning hydrogen and oxygen, to eventually launch our way off to Mars.
Wait, I had no idea there's water on the moon. This is like breaking news to me. It's frozen though, right? It's frozen, right?
That is correct. And one of the reasons why we want to get to the moon first there is that if the Chinese get there first, who knows if they would actually destroy, like they do, their own environment in China. So we want to make sure we get access to this area and again, take advantage of this opportunity. And remember, there's no gravitational pull like there is on Earth on the moon. That will allow us to propel ourselves once we establish a moon base to go to places like Mars a lot easier.
Yeah, you're going to build like a Motel 6, right? On there, and then you can just use it for a day stay, and then you just keep going to Mars. So so the landing when are they going back to land on the moon? Do we know yet? Do we have a date?
Yeah, so we're building landers now. Two private companies, SpaceX and Blue Origin, are building those landers now. It's a much more complex thing than we did back for the first time in 1969. Because remember, we're not just trying to land on the moon. We want to establish a moon base. That means we need to bring cargo, etc., not just citizens or astronauts to the moon. And we are looking good to land there in 2028. And again, establish that moon base, have the ultimate high ground, so to speak, also because of the challenges from China.
Yeah. Now, is it just China? Obviously, China to me is the biggest competitor. They're the ones who they want everything. They're very industrious and very, very, very greedy. But are there other nations that are trying to invest in getting to the moon?
Well, look, the great thing is we almost call it like Team Artemis. We have, I think, over 30 countries now signed up with the United States, part of this mission. We work with the European Space Agency, for example, on our project. It is kind of like the free market versus the communists in this fight, or the bad guys. But look, we believe in science. We believe in all the amazing technology that has come from our space program. And as you know, Mary, I actually represent Kennedy Space Center, is where we launch these amazing rockets and put people on the moon. So it's vital for our national security. And it's also, of course, one of the ways we move ahead technologically.
Absolutely. All right. So since we're being joined by other countries, is this something that everybody's going to pay for, or are we footing the bill for this?
We're footing the bill for most of it, no doubt. We're the leaders in this. This is, of course, an American-run mission. But they are offsetting some of those costs. But we believe the space race is incredibly important. As you know, satellites are what allow us to have GPS technology, which allows us to win, God forbid, we have a big breakout war. And so we understand the technology that comes with it. We want to be dominant in space. And we know there's some nefarious actors, not just China, but Russia as well, which in the past has actually collided satellites on purpose and created a lot of space debris, which causes, of course, a lot of chaos out in space.
You know, it's so interesting that you brought that up, because I did read an article about how there's so much, it's American space debris, and we're worried about the Chinese, junking up the moon, but it is mostly American space debris because we just left it out there. We're like, it's just going to float away. But apparently it doesn't just float away, and that it could they have the problem now of it making space travel more difficult, because now you got to dodge these things. It's like Pac-Man. You got to get around out there. So is it possible to clean the space debris up?
Well, remember, a lot of this stuff eventually just comes down back into Earth as it burns up as it goes to the atmosphere. But most of the space junk was actually created by the Russians when they collided this satellite. And so what we have to do, it actually limits the time of the satellite can stay in space, because you have to maneuver around some of this, as you put it perfectly, Mary, space junk. And that means you need to have a more clean line process of getting things into space. And as you know, Mary, one of the things we're proposing now is a bill called the One Giant Leap Act, so that more commercial companies can come in there and reduce some of the red tape that's in the way from moving these satellites more quickly.
So everybody's talking about fraud, waste, and abuse. There's so much, so much of American money is just sent to Somalia and other countries. Mm-hmm. And so many people seem to be in on the grift with these big social programs. And when the government gets involved with big programs and big money, a lot of it tends to just disappear and nobody notices, because the numbers are so big and it's other people's money. So nobody cares. It's not theirs. Mm-hmm. Is this going to be a hard sell to the American people?
Well, the good thing is people in America support the space industry, because they recognize it's not just a commercial venture, or for that matter, the idea of just space tourism. This is national security. I mean, it allows this, again, as I mentioned, GPS technology is so important. We recognize the hypersonic missiles are coming online. You need space technology to track and destroy potentially those threats. So it's really a national security endeavor. But to your point about waste, fraud, abuse, it is as a new member of Congress, it is shocking to see what's happening in states like Minnesota and California with the outright fraud. And now we know why the Democrats wanted to get rid of DOGE, because we finally exposed this fraud. And the good news is a lot of people are starting to go to jail in places like Minnesota, because we've been able to track the money and send these people to jail for stealing taxpayer dollars while providing no services whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's obviously not just those states. I firmly believe it is every single state, because it's so easy to game the system if you know what you're doing. It's a super easy thing to do, because there is zero oversight, zero. Like, if people in the government, I want people in the government fired, because I want them to do their job. If you're not doing your job, and your job was partially oversight or to be mildly aware of what was going on, and you're not, and you're maybe working somewhere else because you got another job somewhere else, whatever it happens to be, we need to build a special jail just for these people. One of the problems, I think, with the sell of this, and because people don't understand all of the wonderful inventions that have come about because of space travel, besides Tang, because the advent of Tang, which came from the space program. You've got your memory foam mattress, cordless power tools, MRIs, like you said, the satellites, cell phones. There's so many things, so much technology has come from these space programs. Is that maybe something that needs to be touted? Maybe like a little bit of an ad campaign. Get a bunch of interns to do it. Don't pay $1 gazillion for it. Get a bunch of interns to do it with AI, like they do for Spencer Pratt, and just tell people, your everyday life would be so much different if it weren't for the space program.
I think that's a great point, Mary. And that's what we're trying to do. Just like with GPS technology, just like the communications you and I are enjoying right now, let alone the internet, it's because of the innovations we made in space, the ability to communicate effectively and immediately. It's beaming these satellites in place. It's the reason why SpaceX and other companies are doing so well, is because there is such a desire for this new technology to innovate. We even use it for crops, where we know we can better predict weather, let alone protect lives, because you can better predict weather. These are vital everyday items. And to your point, I think we need to do a better job of telling people the innovations that came from the space race.
Yeah, it's very important. And the last thing I'm going to say is getting that excitement built up about it. I think is important for the younger generation. These kids need to be excited about the space program, because for a lot of people are like, we landed 1969 on the moon the first time. That was very exciting, right? Super exciting. It was like, I was glued to their TVs because, oh, they're landing on the moon. And now it's like, we're going back into space. People don't pay a lot of attention to it anymore. It's not a focal point. It's not new. And I think that it can be interesting again, and it can be exciting again. Again, if it's marketed properly, it's all about the communication. And I think you would get a lot of people on board with it.
I completely agree. I was amazing seeing the response from the Artemis launch that was so successful, that 10-day mission. And I think people will be glued back to their TV in 2028 as we land on the moon again and see this new moon colony take shape and transform our lives.
Yeah, very interesting. Mike Haridopolos, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure when I get to speak with you. And good luck with this. I know the passion is there. I'm sure everyone on your committee is super passionate about this. And I think that the excitement can be infectious if it is projected to the American people in the right way, and they're not going to be sitting there screaming about how much money you're spending, especially if you build a Home Depot up there in case you forget parts. People will love that.
You got it, Mary. Well, thanks for your time as always. Have a great day. Give my best to David, my fellow Floridian.
I absolutely will. Have a great holiday weekend coming up as well. Thank you for joining me.